This is footage from my third training session from this week. This is going to be a easy 1 mile, and I was aiming for a pace of 8 minutes and 45 seconds, but I went way too fast in the beginning. But this was supposed to be 1 mile easy, 1 mile at my calculated marathon time, which is 7 minutes and 47 seconds. That was nowhere near what my marathon time was 2 years ago, but I'll take it. So that was supposed to be my second mile, or 1.2 mile of running at that 7 minute 47 second pace, and then 1 more mile of easy around 8 minute 40-second pace. As you can see on the pace on the left of the screen here, I got going way too quick. I was feeling really good. My heart rate felt good, although I haven't updated my watch, and so the heart rate data hasn't been coming in as quickly as it should be, it seems. And so it took a while before it could actually calculate my heart rate. I could tell I was going a little fast, so I started to slow it down, but it was still difficult for me to get right on that 8 minute 47 second pace. I know I didn't have to be right on the money with that pace, but I knew I was going to struggle to hit 9 minutes because I'm not sure what it is, but it seems a lot more difficult to run at that 9 minute pace and keep a low heart rate. It's like I almost get a higher heart rate trying to run at 9 minutes, but maybe that's just because I get anxious. And so my heart rate pops back up, and I'm at 167, which is not bad for me. I can sustain that for a while as long as it doesn't go over to 170. So I'm feeling great, and my pace is starting to match up with the goal pace again, which was 8 minutes and 47 seconds. This is all supposed to be pretty easy for me to do, sort of using this as a recovery run from the hard run that I did yesterday, where I did 4 miles at 7 minutes and 18 second pace, which is probably the fastest 4 miles I've ever done. And this one is just meant to get me out there, keep me in an elevated heart rate, but nothing pushing the heart rate zones or threshold with lactate or heart rate. And this is always a time that I can train, which is during my lunch. So instead of eating or doing something of that nature, I just run around the neighborhood at my work, and I try to find, again, nice straightaways to run on. So this one is a pretty long straight, which connects to a few other straightaways that you'll see in a little bit. But throughout this run, I'm kind of visualizing and also planning how I want the rest of my week to go. So the kind of energy I bring into this training session is purposeful. I don't want to just treat it as a session that I just am trying to get over with, which is how I've previously been treating my training sessions, just doing 2 miles at a time and running them as fast as I can. But this time around, I want to take a more structured approach, and so that's why I'm breaking up these training sessions and being a little bit more deliberate in the planning of them and execution of them. I'm just kind of going by feel right now. I'm not using any sort of AI app or algorithm-driven plan, just more programming for my own specific needs, wants, and I kind of know my fatigue capabilities or my fatigue management efficiency better than a computer does. So far it's been pretty good with being able to program not only the runs but also my strength training, because although I'd like to say running is the only thing I'm focusing on, I do have like a lot of goals. And again, I talked in that last video about this as being more of a fire lit under me in the last 5 years or so, and even more so in the last 3, where I've realized that my time to improve physically is not coming to an end, but is getting closer to winding down. And so I want to make sure that I put as much intentionality and effort into improving my physical form before improvements come much slower than I would like. Fortunately for me, running is something that I did not do a lot of as a youth, and so there's a lot of room for improvement and a lot of unexplored territory as far as what my limits and capabilities are. And I remember spending a lot of time watching YouTube videos and stuff of other people who had lost lots of weight and turned to running as a way to sort of improve their overall physical health. And those videos always kind of inspired me, but I always thought of myself as, oh, well, I do weight training and I don't really need to do running because I put muscle on and muscle burns fat. But when you have muscle and you're putting that muscle through intense cardiovascular workouts, you burn even more fat and more calories. And at the end of the day, I'm a big eater. I like to eat a lot, and so running like this also helps me to eat the foods that I love while still maintaining the aesthetic physique that I desire. And so I'm hoping I can continue this trend of training, and that I can continue to push my limits to increase my ability. But again, that comes with proper programming and intentionality when planning training sessions. I'm also planning on ramping up my volume significantly from where it's been even in the last 3 or 4 months, because I am training for a half marathon, but I do have the desire to train for a marathon very soon. And I would like the training that I'm doing currently to be applicable to the time that I run a marathon when that time comes around. And so I know that increasing my volume, at least during the week, is going to be helpful for that. And I'm going to start even increasing my long runs, although I'm probably going to take a long time to build up to marathon type distances. I'm planning on doing a 15-mile long run this Sunday, and I just did the 13-mile half marathon race last Sunday. So I'm not tapering down after my marathon. I'm adding more volume to my running, especially since my overall training load tapering for the race was very low in comparison to my average training load. So I got a lot of recovery time leading up into the race, which was good because I was able to PR on both my 5K and on my half marathon. But now I'm in a fortunate position where I am so fresh, I can add a lot of volume to my running, and I'm going to take advantage of that and take advantage of the adaptations that I feel like are waiting for me. And if I overshoot a bit, I can always pull back in the week to come, and I'm not going to really lose anything because I don't have any race planned in the near future. Now, my wife and I, we do want to plan another race. We're thinking either a 10K or a half marathon. I would prefer to have a 10K and maybe have the half marathon closer towards springtime, so I can have a lot of time to train for that half marathon. But we'll see. We'll take a look at what races are available. And it's been a while since I've done a 10K race. And I'm not sure if I've actually ever done an official 10K race, or I've just done 6-mile races. And the only one I've done of that distance is called the Wharf to Wharf. And that happened again this year. However, it was not a true wharf to wharf. It was a wharf to someplace else, I believe. But anyway, the training blocks that I put together going forward, I'm going to try to increase volume and not necessarily intensity, because I was pretty intense with my training sessions prior to this. It was almost every day was pretty much speed work. But I'm just going to be increasing the volume of my running. And again, if after this week I feel like I've fatigued a bit too much and I'm unable to recover, then I'm fortunate enough to be in a position where I can pull back and not have to worry about losing fitness, and I can recover again if I need to. But I actually don't foresee that happening as long as I structure everything appropriately. And I think using these in between intense session runs to increase volume but keep it easy. So for instance, this was an average heart rate of 165 for only 26 minutes, so it wasn't very taxing on any of my systems, but it added more volume throughout the week. And so just doing little things like this, I'm hoping will help me to increase my base, my aerobic base, which will help me to push the intensities within that half marathon. As you can hear and see, my pace is too quick, and that's because I'm looking at the average pace on my watch, and I'm not thinking that the average pace is taking into consideration the last mile I'm doing. So I'm trying to run as fast as I can to bring that average pace down, but it's too fast for the pace that I want to hold during this run. And so if you look, you can see I'm like at 7 minutes and 9 seconds, which is not too far off of my fastest mile time. And this is just much too fast. This is not a pace I would be able to sustain during a half marathon, let alone during a marathon. And then I get going even quicker as I'm taking this hill down, and so my pace increases even faster, although it may be also decreasing my heart rate because I'm really just taking advantage of gravity at this point. And running down hills I actually really enjoy, because that's when I feel like I'm flying, when I can really feel the bounce from my shoes and my step. But as this sort of pace gets or continues to be faster than what I need, I'm sort of taking a look at my watch and trying to slow down, actively slowing down. You can see that on the pace over here. It's now at 7 minutes and 13 seconds. But again, I want to get at a 7 minute and 47 second pace. And if there's a difference that you're hearing, if anybody's even watching this and you hear a difference in my voice, I sound a lot more awake and alive and excited, it's because I am fresh off of work. This is my training from yesterday, and I am recording at around 4 p.m. instead of like 9 p.m. like I did last night. So I was really tired last night. 9 p.m. I was recording. My voice doesn't sound anything like this. It sounds really slow and low. But I feel a lot better earlier in the day, because by the time the day winds down, I'm pretty exhausted from work, kids, normal life stuff, and then training on top of that. So as you can see here, I finally get my pace to where I want it, around 7:41. I do want it again closer to 7:50 at 7:47, but I'll take it. This is the closest I've been able to get to the pace that I want. And I'm just checking my watch because eventually I'm going to be at a point where I'm going to do a turnaround right here. I'm just going to stop what I'm doing and just turn right back around and start running. And so my pace is a bit slower than I would like right now, but that's again because I am looking at my average pace, and then my average pace is setting into where I need, which should be around that 7 minute 47 second mark. So I got to turn back around and then come back up the hill, and I got scared. I thought, oh, I'm gonna hit a hill, so I need to go faster so that I can hit the time that I want to up the hill. But again, I'm not considering that this is all an average, and so the pace that I am hitting is not necessarily the average pace that will show up on my watch. And this is actually giving me a lot more clarity as I look at this. And there should be a setting on my watch I'm just not familiar with, where I can see my pace as it's going instead of my average pace. And I can also set that this up in something like Work Outdoors, where I can set parameters for my pace, and it will give me reminders when my pace is too high. And I think, to be honest, the next time I do this workout, especially looking through this footage for the first time and seeing my paces being so wildly off, I really just need to get my Work Outdoors app set up again. And when I was doing my marathon training, I had a lot of different workouts and plans, and I was a lot more strategic with each training session. And I kind of just, for the sake of simplicity, and sometimes simplicity just kind of drives you to do more things. If things are more simple, you're more likely to do more. And so I really, after my first marathon, I took some time off, some heavy training, and I really never got back into strategic training. I just got into, hey, I'm going to put work in, and I'm just going to work every day, and I'm just going to run as fast as I can, 2 miles a day. And that's what I did, and I got my miles faster than I've ever gotten my miles by doing that. But now, instead of hitting a plateau, I kind of want to, as I mentioned in the last video on my threshold training, structure everything so that my training is a little bit more goal-oriented and a little bit more intentional with each training session. Since I am spending the time and I'm spending the recovery resources, I might as well have each training session be specific to the things that I want to improve. And to be honest, the last training block that I had before my half marathon, I accomplished a lot of what I wanted to, which was just to get faster. I was so caught up in running slow, running at base pace, keeping my aerobic level so that I could not hit a threshold and I could just run longer and all this stuff, but it really made me slow. And I had forgotten what it was like to run fast. I had never done a 5K or any sort of short race, and so that's what I kind of did this training block on. It was just a lot of fast running and just not that many miles during the week. And if I was going to add more miles in, it would just be easy miles on my treadmill, which I just purchased. I just got a ProForm treadmill, really great price, excellent for what I want it for. It goes up to 12 miles per hour. I think it goes up to like 10 on the incline. I'm not sure what that is. I'm not sure if that's percentages or what, but it's got a decent incline, and it's got speed enough for where I'm at that I'm not going to max out any of the speed functions on it. And so I cannot be upset with the training that I did, because what I did in my training block leading up to my half marathon that just passed in November 8th or 9th, I accomplished what I wanted to. I got my mile down to the fastest it's ever been, which I believe is 6 minutes and 28 seconds is my fastest mile right now. And that's a huge accomplishment for me in my lifetime. It's not just like an age PR. That's like a lifetime PR for me. I've never been faster than that. I've never really pushed myself when it came to running. I could run long distances. I always seemed to have endurance, but I never pushed myself as far as speed for those longer distance. And so I'm saying a bunch of negative things about my training and saying how intentional I'm being now, but when I think about it, I was being very intentional with that training. I wanted to get faster, and now here I am. I just broke the 7-minute pace for a 5K, which is great. And so now it's just going to be a different training block, and this training block is going to consist of a lot more complexity, which I think after those months of simplicity and just having fun and just getting faster and PRing what felt like on a monthly or weekly basis, I can now maybe expect less PRs during this training block so that I can really focus in on my training and get the PRs on the performance days. Not that I didn't do this time around, but I'm planning on for a lot more performance days. And what do I mean by performance days? I just mean a race, something where I've paid to show up and show off all of the adaptations that I've made and all the progression that I've made. And so I don't plan on having a lot of PRs on this training block, and I'm going to be okay with that. This training block is about strategy. It's about being intentional with fixing the things that I need to fix to get better at what I want to get better at. My goal is the half marathon pace. I want to be able to empty out my tank and know that I put in my fastest half marathon that I was capable of. I didn't feel like that this past half marathon. I didn't feel like that in my first half marathon. I think a half marathon is an extremely tricky race. You have a lot of opportunity to burn out, and you have a lot of opportunity to hold back. And so I think these training blocks, each one that I'm doing, is going to work on a particular aspect of that half marathon. And for this run in particular, I'm just working on my aerobic base. I'm just adding some mileages in and doing some easy aerobic base work, and then in the middle of that, throwing in a faster paced mile, which would be at my marathon pace. Now, I would love it if I could run a marathon at the pace that it suggested I could, given my 5K time, but my last marathon was nowhere near that. So I'm just gonna keep plugging along. I'm gonna do a speed workout every week still. So as I'm recording this, I've already done my speed workout for today, but today is now Thursday. So this video was on Wednesday. And so I have finished my speed workout for today. I had my first mile at 6 minutes and 30 seconds. And I had some complications while I was running because it was raining and stuff was getting wet, and I had to take off my windbreaker. It was getting too hot. So my second mile was 7:05. Something touched my watch and paused my run. I don't know exactly how accurate that time was, but I'm going to take it. So I had a 6:05 and a 6:30 mile for my first mile of the day, and then a 7:05 mile for my last mile. And then that'll be the only miles that I really run at a quick pace today. And then this evening after dinner, I will do another 2 miles, 1 to 2 miles. We'll see how much energy I have, but 1 to 2 miles at an easy pace. And so that will kind of act as sort of a recovery run to get the blood flowing through my legs before I go to bed. But I'm going to do a whole voiceover on the training session that I did today, which is Thursday. And so I'm not going to go too much into that right now. I started thinking, hey, why am I talking about the training session that I haven't even edited yet? But I have it all filmed. I just got to upload it and edit it all up. I like to put these, I like to track it with the information that I get from my Apple Watch, and it gives me a good opportunity to kind of view my pacing, which I don't get to view in real time because I'm running and I'm not looking at all of these metrics all the time. So to wrap up this training session, because it was a good training session, I enjoyed it. I could have been better hitting the paces, and again, I will work more on that by setting up the app Workout Doors, which is a great app. If you don't have it, it really lets you create some really intense complications on your smartwatch to track your running or workout, whatever you're doing. It's not just for running. It's any work you do outdoors. So you have a lot of different complications that you can have set up to track all the stuff that I'm talking about, where you don't have to look at something that is like an average pace, which doesn't give you a whole lot of information for in the moment. And so, again, great session. I think I'm going to keep this session for every Wednesday, and that way it'll be a good little rest in between speed work and on Thursdays. So today, not the day of this training, but today, Thursday, I also have strength training. So I'm going to be squatting heavy today. This is my heavier day where my reps are lower. And so it's nice to have a easy session the day before you're going to obliterate your legs or really work them to the core. And so I'm going to probably keep this for Wednesday. And again, I think this is it's felt like a really good start to this training block. And I think also making these videos helps to keep me honest with all this training. It's very easy when you don't have a coach, you're coaching yourself, and this is a hobby. It's very easy to be like, oh, well, I don't have to do this right now. I could do something else. I could swap something else out. Nobody's telling me what to do. I'm my own boss. But this way, if I'm filming them, I know that at least I'm going to be watching. I don't know, I got 20 views on my last one. But at least I'm going to be watching because I have to do these voiceovers. And doing these voiceovers is a lot like when I used to film every single strength training workout I did when I was training for a powerlifting event. It kept me honest. It kept me looking at my form. It kept me looking at the metrics of my performance. For that, I'm not really looking at body metrics. I'm looking at metrics on the bar. But still, it's a good way to keep yourself engaged in your training and not make choices that are going to prevent you from reaching your goals. And again, with all of this, it's just, I'm extremely lucky to be able to do this, right? To think about performing some aspect of my life that isn't required of me to just survive. I'm being able to work on something that is going to help me thrive. And I think that's something special that everybody who's in a position like me where you do get to work out as just for fun, as a hobby, we have to take some time to just like remember and be thankful, because not everybody has this opportunity where they can just invest in themselves